believer that this team's going to win the national championship. Something stupid is coming out of his mouth. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing? Season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football. This guy is a bonehead. They love him. I question your judgment as an adult. I really do. I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it. Get us back our sleeves and say, bring me that. That's the one I want. And welcome into a special Sunday edition of Juckonbucks Selection Sunday. And I just want to go over a couple of things because I think what happened with this draw that Ohio State got was the best thing for Ryan Day. It was the best thing for Ohio State fans who want to see Ryan Day stay a long time. And it was potentially the best thing for Ohio State fans who want to see Ryan Day gone. And we'll go over that in a minute, but let's start with the action last night. As Clemson, a 3-loss regular season team, and we talked for the last 6 months, I told you guys I ran the figures of this particular playoff system on the last 25 years of results in college football. And 51% of the time, it included a 3-loss regular season team in the playoff, and 27% of the time, more than one. So we get the 3-loss team with Clemson making it a 56-yard field goal. And all I could think about was 2 years ago against Georgia. If we had a kicker like that kid, our conversation around here would be a whole lot different. Instead, our field goal attempt went 25 yards to the left. Such is life. But what a way to win it for Clemson. They beat SMU. Was SMU going to make it? Were they going to get knocked out in favor of Alabama? SMU makes it, as they should have, in my opinion. I do not believe in penalizing a team who loses a conference championship game close, shows themselves well, for somebody else who was sitting idle to jump them. And more on that in a second. But great way for the ACC to come to a finish on the season. In the SEC, you had Carson Beck getting injured the last play of the first half. They play the whole second half with Gunnar Stockton, and the Georgia offense looks better. Now, this is interesting moving forward. Georgia, obviously one of the favorites in this playoff. What's wrong with Carson Beck? How bad was the injury? What are they going to do moving forward offensively? Because certainly the talent on the field is enough to keep them in a game with anybody. What are they going to do there? That's going to be really interesting to follow. Carson Beck ends up coming in with his arm hanging limp to hand the ball off and win the thing in overtime. Beat Texas again. I will say that the energy at the Dome last night for the SEC championship was different than any SEC championship game I've ever seen. There were a lot of empty seats. It was just different. And it sucks, man. It sucks what these games have become because they are at the same time like vitally important because teams are playing themselves in. But when you got two teams that are already in, like the SEC championship will always be, and the Big Ten championship will always be, how exciting can it really be? In the Big Ten championship, we see Oregon come in year one and cap a wonderful season, undefeated. They win the Big Ten championship, but Penn State might have been the more impressive team. I didn't think Penn State had it in them. I don't mean the more impressive team. I mean the more impressive performance. Like, I thought Penn State was going to lose by a healthy margin. They end up losing by 8. And the spread was only 3.5. I just really didn't think that we could see Penn State go score for score like that. They put up a ton of points. It was the best offensive performance we've seen out of a Penn State team in years. And in my opinion, and I know a lot of Ohio State fans disagree, Penn State comes out of this game, lose the game, and they stay ranked ahead of Ohio State. And again, I think that's the right decision. I don't think a team should go and have to play in a conference championship game and then drop below a team who sat and rested up all week. Because now, when you look at teams that lost those games, Penn State, SMU, Texas, they lose those games. They're all still in the playoffs. Their route to a national championship is now a 17-game season when everybody else only has to play 16. They also have to go play in 2 weeks, just like Ohio State, Tennessee, Notre Dame, and Indiana. And all those teams sat and got an extra week of rest. So to punish them on top of those two negative things and say now you also run the risk of dropping below. Now, it's different if they go out and you feel like they've been totally exposed. But all those teams acquitted themselves well. We're talking 2 games that went down to the 3 games. They all went down to the wire. Penn State had it with 2 minutes left, down 8, which, by the way, why did James Franklin go for 2 earlier on? He could have cut the lead to 7. Instead, he goes for 2, doesn't get it. My brother texts me, he's like, the analytics said that you should do that. I don't get it. I didn't either. Because all I could think of in that game was, okay, Penn State with 2 minutes left, down 8, could go back and score, and now they're going to miss this 2-point conversion and not win this thing. Like, that would be the most James Franklin thing ever. But maybe one of you analytics guys can explain that to me, because I did not understand it at all. But anyway, the consequences are huge in these conference championship games when there's a team trying to play themselves into the field, like for Clemson. But when both teams are in, the juice is not there. I do think the committee made the right call on most of the decisions that they had to make, honestly. Obviously, this format is ridiculous. We've talked about it for, 6 months here on the show, and I said that everybody who is saying that these conference championship winners getting seeds 1 to 4 in a bye week automatically, the top 4, thinks this is a good idea, is probably just going to have to see this play out. And now that we've seen it play out, now that we're looking at it, and we're saying, okay, Boise State, who has not beaten a single Power 4 team on the year, has a bye week in the college football playoff. Now I think a lot of people are changing their tune. Oh, yeah, maybe that's right. But here's what kills me. When we talk about a change like this, coming up with a playoff like this, how many times can we imagine that there were board meetings and the powers that be sitting and going over this formula, and they all okayed this? Like, they all okayed this thing. And now you've got everybody looking at it saying, what? This is ridiculous. And it is. How could you not have seen this coming? I don't know. I have no idea how you could not have seen this coming. But in the very first year, to have Boise State have that bye, it won't be like this for long. Guaranteed in 2 years. We'll have 2 years, I think, of it like this, and then it'll change if they don't come out and change it for next year. But let's talk about the Buckeyes and why I think that what just happened is the best thing for Ryan Day, the best thing for fans who want Ryan Day to stick around forever, and the best thing for fans who now feel they would rather the Buckeyes separate from Ryan Day. The Buckeyes pass starts with Tennessee. Those tickets go on sale on Thursday for that game. Going to be a night game at the Shoe, December 21st, my dad's birthday. That is awesome. And I'm kind of wrestling right now. Should I go to that game, freeze my butt off, or should I roll the dice that the Buckeyes get past Tennessee and go to the Rose Bowl and see Ohio State, Oregon in the Rose Bowl in the playoffs? How cool would that be? But that's the next step. Should you get past Tennessee, you got a for sure matchup with Oregon in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Amazing, difficult as it could be, right? It doesn't get much more difficult than that in round 1 and round 2. And if the Buckeyes and Ryan Day are able to win those 2 games, they're going to play the winner. Well, first you got Texas and Clemson. Let's say that's very chalky. Texas is a 10-point favorite. In Austin, Texas wins that game, and then Texas goes and plays Arizona State. Texas will be a big favorite in that game, and if Texas wins that game, the Buckeyes' first 3 games in this playoff could be Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. I never wanted this any other way. I wanted the Buckeyes to play the best of the best, because I always thought all season long in the preseason that Ohio State was the best, and I wanted to go through the best because I knew there was a chance that there would be wonky paths to this national championship, and I didn't want them to get some peanut draw like Penn State has and knock off a couple of peanut teams. But here's where it gets even better. if you are a fan who wants Ryan Day to stick around, if Ryan Day would have had Penn State's draw and beaten SMU, and then Boise State, there's a lot of people who would be still calling for his head if he got knocked out after that. And a lot of people supporting him would say he just won 2 playoff games. But how valuable are those 2 playoff games when you beat SMU and Boise State? Now, should Ryan Day win a couple of playoff games, you can hang your hat on the fact that he just beat Tennessee and Oregon, revenged his loss to Oregon, the number 1 team, and beat an SEC team at home in the playoffs. Those are 2 really awesome wins. What if he goes on to win a third? If he wins a third, if you're someone who's out on Ryan Day, would you be back in? Would you be bought back in if he makes it to the national championship game from this route? I thought that a lot of people might. So I put up a Twitter poll a couple of hours ago, already with 400 responses. And the question was, Ohio State has the toughest path to a national championship. If Day can get these guys to the championship game, would it change your mind if you currently want him gone? So right now, you want him gone. Would it change your mind if he gets the Buckeyes to the national championship? And the options are, no, I'm out on Day. No, win it all, and I'm back in. Yes, that gets me back in. Now, the only people who are 100% out no matter what, 20%. 20% of the people are out no matter what, they say. And if you are still out, if your head coach runs that gauntlet and wins a national championship, I think you'd probably change your mind. That's just unfair. That's crazy. Are we kidding? You got to be kidding. I know that you feel emotional right now. But if he can get that done and win a national championship, you can't really be serious. Like, I don't think you would really tell me after that you want him gone. I get that you're mad, but 58% say, yes, that gets me back in. Make it to the national championship and I'm back in. 20%, 22% say no, win it all and I'm back in. What that means is 80% say that with this current draw, Ryan Day has the ability to win them back over. 80%. And 60 of them say just make it to the game, which, to fans' credit, that's what we heard in the beginning of the year. That was pretty much the consensus. If Ryan Day loses to Michigan, he's got to make it to the national championship game or I'm out. That's what people were saying in the beginning of the year. And now that has happened, you've lost. By the way, we didn't even know this Michigan team would be this bad. You've lost to that horrible Michigan team. Not horrible. You get my point. You lost to that Michigan team, and they're being consistent. They're saying, okay, he makes it to the national championship game. I'm back in. And I think you got to be. I got to say, I will be. Because the path is not full of cream puffs. The path is huge games, scary games. Tennessee, Oregon in the Rose Bowl, teams that can beat you, teams that could potentially embarrass you if you play a bad game. And then potentially Texas to get to the national championship. If Ryan Day can win those games, it doesn't make up for what just happened last Saturday. That problem will still exist. There will still be a Michigan problem. We saw the way he looked at the end of the game. Like, that problem will be there. That game gets no easier next year. It gets harder. But now we're talking about a guy who's been to 2 national championship games in this hypothetical scenario. And this one, he did it going through the very best of the best. And I think it's the best thing for him. If he really wants to be at Ohio State long term, if he wants to turn this around and win people over, this is the very best way. And you could say he probably doesn't give a damn about winning people over. Well, he does if he wants to stay long term. Because, money runs college football. And just like we saw after the 2023 loss, the huge influx in money coming into the NIL that made a lot of this stuff possible, when you see that go the other way, the money pull back out and that dry up, well, if you're the guys sitting at the top, you know that change is inevitable now. And this is a way to buy the fans back in. This is great. And it allows me, I'm just speaking for myself, like I will feel, again, excited and bought back in on everything Ryan Day's doing if he's able to do that. Again, the game issues will still be there, and we can deal with them later. But as far as this part of it goes, on the national scene, taking down teams like Tennessee, Oregon, maybe Texas, and could you imagine to win those games and get to the national championship? Look at that side of the bracket. Who do you fear there? Do you fear Notre Dame? I know you don't. The Buckeyes have already beaten Indiana. I know Boise State's not making it. Penn State already beaten them. SMU, like who do you fear? Outside of Georgia, potentially, can anybody beat Ohio State over there? I don't think anybody can beat Ohio State on that side of the bracket. On the side of the bracket Ohio State starts on, I think Oregon, on their best day, can beat Ohio State. We've seen them beat Ohio State on not their best day. I think that Texas, on their best day, can beat Ohio State. And I even think Tennessee, on their best day, can beat Ohio State. But the other side, I don't think they can. So if you make it to the national championship, I'm back in, baby. But I can't wait. I'm starting to get excited again. The pain of what happened last Saturday is starting to subside, and I'm moving forward. And this is great. This is the draw that I wanted. I wanted a tough game to start with. I definitely wanted to be able to get the opportunity to beat Oregon, right? We wanted to see that rematch. Conversely, if you get knocked out at home, lose to an SEC team, again, and we got to listen to that crap, more of that crap, and more of the crap. He already set us back for a year of listening to Michigan again. And now we got to listen to the SEC crap again. Wow. So again, the people that want him going, like that's your advantage there. Like you're happy about that because you've got the opportunity for a super flame out here as a 7-point favorite to lose at home to another SEC school. And that means the last 3 years you lost the game and then you lost to an SEC school, Georgia, Missouri, Tennessee. So you've got all the ammo you want. But yeah, that would piss me off. But this is great, guys. This is great. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Tomorrow, Juck and Chris live, 9:30 a.m. I will see you there. Please like and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Juckonbucks out. And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
Start